We are live. Welcome to Power Punchers episode 4. This is number 4 of the Power Punchers podcast. Check out the first 3 episodes on my channel playlist on Calix Boxing 2.0, and you can now catch us on HCP Boxing Network in audio form. Check us out on iHeartRadio and all that good stuff. I am joined by one half of HCP right here, D-Style Boxing in the building. What's going on, man?
Yeah, I'm just here, man, ready to knock out these topics. You know what I'm talking about? That's what I'm ready to do right now. That's what I'm ready to do.
Salute to A-Rod in the chat. If you're in the chat, let us know who you are. Also, hit that like button as y'all come in. Please hit the like button as you come in and join us. Check out HCP 65 on your channel last night, D-Style Boxing, and also check out the roundtable tomorrow night. Got a great lineup this week. Great lineup. Salute to Run PMC in the building as well. Let's get right into this, man. The Power Puncher of the week. We got some guys that did some power punching this week, over the weekend, maybe even this morning. Who you got? Who is your power puncher? Who is D-Style Boxing's power puncher of the week?
Let me tell you who the power puncher of the week is. He's also the Hispanic causing panic of the week. Okay, so he's a two-time award recipient on this network. He is a power puncher. Michel Rivera, right? I mean, La Zarza Ali, this dude. Came back. Kind of shades of Trinidad, right? Came back from the canvas and said, "Oh, you're gonna knock me down? Oh, okay." What a knockout! Knocked the Spaniard out. I forgot the dude's name. That's how bad he knocked him out. He made me forget his name. Okay, he knocked him to tomorrow, like Rocky's trainer once said. Mickey, he knocked him to tomorrow, bro. Like he knocked him out, and the dude got up and got knocked out again. That's how brutal that knockout was, brother.
And you got a vote from A-Rod. You're the power puncher of the week on the Boxing Voice apparently this week, knocking people out verbally.
Yeah, I was knocking out Ness, his co-host, and then I made him agree with me in the end anyway. And half of the chat was on my side though. It's all good.
No, but that's a strong one. That was a great knockout from a great up and coming knockout artist. But I'm gonna go different. I'm going to go with my guy, Tszyu, from this morning. Tszyu, knockout from the body punch this morning. Put his opponent, Steve Spark, on the canvas twice. And beautiful body shot. If you didn't catch the fight, left hook to the liver. Put him down on the canvas. Put him down for good. And Tszyu is one to look out for, man. This guy is exciting. He's got punch placement. He's got punch power. He's got it in his genes. Tszyu. Love this dude right now. Love what's going on with them. I don't know. This fight was basically in the middle of the night, 4 or 5. I caught it at 6 in the morning. I just happened to wake up, turn on ESPN Plus, and thank you to ESPN Plus for airing this fight because more people here in the States need to know who Tszyu is. He's already got the genetics going for him. He's already got the fame in his genes as well. So more people here need to know who this guy is. I hope he comes over here to fight in the States, and I hope he gets some big names soon because this is a guy right outside of the top 5 at 154. He's been knocking on that door. He just needs those bigger names. Already got Jeff Horn. What do you think about Tszyu as a prospect? I think he's past prospect. Obviously, he beat Jeff Horn, but what do you think about him up and coming, knocking on that top 5? I think he's going to get in the top 5 now. This might put him at like number 4, number 5 in that division.
Look, let's just put it in perspective, everybody. You could argue Tszyu, beat Jeff Horn better than Terrence Crawford did. Now, I understand that the Crawford fight was at welterweight. I get that. But it's only one division up, and Horn was a big welterweight, right? So credit to Crawford. I'm not taking anything away, but put it in perspective. That's when Tszyu was just a prospect, and he handled Jeff Horn like he destroyed this guy, dude. He annihilated him, and of course, he annihilated a last-minute replacement. Now, people might say, the dude's name was Sparks, so he was due to get sparked out. If your last name is Spark, you're gonna get sparked. But I get that even it's not a well-known guy, but let me tell you something, bro. Last-minute replacements can be tricky. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They just can't, and he handled it well. I mean, hey, what can you say? I wanted to see him fight Zerafa, you know what I mean? Just to see where that goes. Zerafa's a guy that went 1-1 with Jeff Horn, right? Hurt Jeff Horn in the second fight. Jeff Horn just got out of it, but won a decision. So I wanted to see what he could do in that fight. But I think he's passed it off, to be honest with you. I mean, do you believe, Calix, that Zerafa could beat this guy?
No.
No, like you are proving you're the king of Australia, brother. He's a king of a country and a continent all at once. Okay, so we get it. It's time the regional fights are over. It's time to enter the world stage for this guy. He's ready. He's crafty. I mean, we're talking about someone who is the son of a legend, and as long as he doesn't wear pink undies and eat Cheerios in the middle of the night and do coke and not show up to, like, as long as you avoid not showing up to training camp or something like that, you should be good. This looks like a kid that wants to make his father proud, is what that looks. It looks like a kid that takes the last name Tszyu very serious. You know what I mean? Because let me tell you something, man. I was hoping this fight happened because Zerafa was talking some major shit. He was calling himself, "Oh, I'm the Australian Ricky Hatton," or whatever the fuck he was saying. He was like, "Oh, okay, motherfucker, I'll show you." You know what I mean? Like, so he wanted to do some damage to him, but he's in the mix, brother. He's in the mix. He's a top 10 contender in that division, no doubt.
So you don't think he's going to move the couch to the side and start training in the living room in pink underwear and jump in the pool as his dad's giving him training advice on the side?
And they lose to an MMA fighter in a boxing match on the way there. Probably not. I don't think he's going to do that now.
And by the way, speaking of Chavez Jr., he said he wants to fight 100 times. He's not retiring anytime soon. I don't know if you caught that interview. He said he wants to fight 100 times.
Jesus fucking Christ. But, put him in the ring with Tim Tszyu. Like, you know what I mean? Shit. But here's what I'll say, man. Very similar, by the way, Calix. Like Tim Tszyu, his dad was a big. I remember when Russell, what's the name of the guy that played the Gladiator? Are You Not Entertained? What's that dude's name again?
I forget his name.
His name escapes me, right? Somebody
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe was like talking about Tszyu, like in the middle of like interviews about his movies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I was watching the Tszyu fight, and then I got a phone call about the movie Gladiator. I'm like, what? Wait, what? Like, so he's a big star in Australia, but he's handling it different, right? I think what it might be is I think Tim Tszyu chose this path. I don't think this is a path that maybe was pushed on him like I think the Chavez path was. I think he wanted to do this. I think that's the sense I get from Tim Tszyu. Like he wants to do this. He wants to make his dad proud. And you know what else? He embraces the fact that he is his father's son. Something Chavez Jr. ironically never did. Even though he inherited a fan base from his dad, didn't have to work hard he didn't have to have a job on the side, a 9-to-5 on the side, like other boxers do. He had it easy, right? Compared to other fighters. Yet when Martinez was in the face-off telling him, you didn't do anything. You got anything from your dad. And his response was, no, I'm not like my dad. No, I got everything on my own, he said. No, that's not what you say. You know what he said? Yes, my dad is Julio Cesar Chavez. Who the fuck's your dad? That's what he should have said. So I think Tim Tszyu takes pride in the fact that Tszyu is his dad. Yeah. I think he takes pride in that.
And when you have the talent and the work ethic to back it up, it makes it easier. Sort of like a Stephen Curry. His dad was a famous NBA player and he took it to another level. So maybe Tim Tszyu will be able to do that and his family. But moving forward, he's right outside, depending on what rankings you look at, somewhere between 6, 7, 8 in the division already. This maybe gets him up to past Rosario, who was somewhere between 4 and 5, coming off the loss to Lubin. So there are guys there in the top 5 that he could maybe pick off. Erickson, Lubin, Rosario coming off of a loss. But Danny Garcia, a guy who's entering 154, supposedly the 154 waters, and Tim Tszyu called him out after the fight.
Rosario?
No. Tim Tszyu called out Danny Garcia after the fight.
My bad.
Yeah, so do you think that – I don't think that fight is going to happen, boxing politics, but let's say it did happen. How you see that fight playing out? I got Tim Tszyu in that fight right
You
now.
know, I don't think the fight's as impossible as you might think because Garcia's in a losing streak, at least with big fights. He's moving up a division. I mean, I just think I don't see why PBC wouldn't throw him in there. What are they going to do with him? You know, I guess he could be opponent for Jamal or something as a first defense as an undisputed champion or something. But I don't know. But who's going to win the fight? Who would win? I think Tim Tszyu beats the shit out of him. All right, I just do.
Natural 154 pounder. I've always felt over 140 pounds. Danny Garcia was a little overvalued, although he is one of the guys in the PBC at 147 who actually fought top competition consistently. So you got to give him credit there. I'm one of the guys that wants people to fight top competition. So he's done that. So I got to give him credit.
You know, I'm not going to use the fights with Porter, which was close and could have gone either way. The fights with Keith Thurman and the fights with Spence, right? Then let's put those fights aside, right? Because in fairness, Tim Tszyu hasn't fought somebody at that level, right?
Right.
But what about the Mauricio Herrera fight?
Yeah.
I forgot about that fight.
Lamont Peterson.
He used the Lamont Peterson fight. They used craftiness against him. What's the one thing Tim Tszyu has? He's a very crafty fighter. He's just a bigger version of it, and he packs power, all right? You know, and I think he has more like dynamic, things that he brings to the table that those guys didn't bring. He has more natural skill, like, you know what I mean?
Plus, he's more of a natural 154 pounder.
That too. I mean,
Garcia.
Besides the side, so I do think it's a good fight to make. I think Tim Tszyu enters the world stage with that fight. You know, but there's other fights from. There's Harrison out there. Mm-hmm. I think that's an excellent fight to make. Harrison's a guy who has a win over Jermell. Some feel was outboxing Jermell up until the knockout. You know, so there's options. But the Danny Garcia fight, that is a name that is a good way to enter the world stage right there. You know, usually those former world champions become the gatekeepers. You know, so I don't see why not.
I hope the fight happens, but Lubin's out there, Rosario's out there as well. So there are fights that he could pick off some guys at the top of 154. But shout out to Tim Tszyu, man. Great performance this morning. He did what he was supposed to do. Let's keep it real. Steve Sparks, not a guy who was going to give him trouble. So did what he had to do, though.
The prediction, the dude, it was a spoiler, bro. Like the name is Spark. You know what I mean? Right. It's sparked out.
And he got sparked out. So let's move on from Tim Tszyu, the power puncher of the week, or Michelle Rivera, power puncher of the week, and go to historic KO of the week. Now, 36 years ago today's D-Style, Julio Cesar Chavez stopped Roger Mayweather. You don't know about boxing. Knocked him down 4 times in the fight, although our guy Richard Steele only called 2 of the knockdowns official knockdowns. He called 2 of them slips. And if you watch the fight, D-Style, and I went back and watched that second round earlier, there were clear knockdowns, and Richard Steele somehow called them slips. he got annihilated by right hands. Richard Steele called them slips.
Slipped after the punch, but you know.
But Roger Mayweather's soul was taken that night, and he would go on to fight Roger Mayweather again 4 years later and beat him again. But he snatched Roger Mayweather's soul in that fight. 4 knockdowns in the second round. This was for the WBC super featherweight title. This was 47th pro fight, I believe. And he fought 5 times in 1985. So classic Julio Cesar Chavez was fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. You know, the guy stayed active. And he would go on to have a record of 107, 6-2. You know, in his career spanned 25 years, just like a fighter we're going to be talking about later as well. Manny Pacquiao was 25 years in. So what are your thoughts on Julio Cesar Chavez versus Roger Mayweather 36 years ago today, 1985? Obviously, I was 3 or 4 years old. I don't even know if you were born yet, but we've seen the fight at this point.
Julio Cesar Chavez did something in that fight that I like to call a blitz. He blitzed him. He went in. It was like a shock. He wasn't ready for that. You know what I mean? It caught him off guard. He capitalized. He was one of the best finishers in the game. That's what he did in that fight. And Chavez was known for starting slow, but sometimes you got to watch out with those guys because then, they start fast, it catches you off guard. Big win. That was Roger Mayweather. The original, el original, the first dude to be a non-Mexican wearing a sombrero walking into an arena full of Mexicans. Okay, he was the first guy to do that. Right? He was the Mexican assassin, not very well liked by Mexicans, but respected. Mm-hmm. He walked into the ring, was annihilating, destroying Mexican fighters. So for Julio Cesar Chavez to go out there, right, and not only pull out a victory, but to dominate and destroy and knock out the Mexican assassin had a lot to do with why Chavez became who he was, man. And in those days, of course, being a Hispanic, causing panic. Big win for Chavez. Those are the type of things that great fighters do. When the moment comes, they do great things, so that's what Chavez did, and that's why he's a great.
Yeah, and if you will go back and watch that fight, Roger Mayweather caught him with some nice right hands, man, some straight rights, and Chavez walked straight through him, but he was catching him with shots, and then all of a sudden, Chavez hits him with an overhand right, and you just saw Roger Mayweather his soul left his body, and he never recovered from it. Was knocked down 4 times in the span of like a minute in that round, and then finally the fight was just called off. I mean, he was
officially
done.
Only 2 though. Officially
only 2. Although he was knocked down 4 times, Richard Steele gave him a little bit of a break there, but beautiful performance by Chavez. And do you think we'll ever see anything like that again in today's boxing? 107, 6-2. Maybe Canelo can do something close to that. I don't know, but I
think Canelo might get there, bro. Canelo's only 30 years old, brother. And he fights 5 times a year, you can get there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because think about it. At some point, Canelo's prime is going to end, right? Mm-hmm. And he's not going to be one of the top guys anymore, but then he's going to be fighting lower level opposition, rack up some more victories. He might do that. You know what I mean? So he can get to 100.
But that's just an incredible record, 107, 6-2. So shout out to Chavez. He is our historic power puncher of the week and historic KO of the week. Chavez over Roger Mayweather. Hit that like button as y'all come in. Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence. Let's move on to that. The training camp started this week officially. It's from Manny Pacquiao anyway. He's over there in wild card with Freddie Roach. Looking good in training camp, although training camp is training camp. The mitts don't hit back. The bag doesn't hit back. Everybody looks good running. Nobody looks bad running unless you're an old man like me, 40 years old, running 9-minute miles. Everybody looks good running. So
at that point, it's called jogging about that.
But what has caught my eye, D-Style, and I did a video about this last night, is the betting odds keep narrowing. It was plus 350 Pacquiao. And what was it? Minus 450 Spence when this fight was first announced at the end of May.
Okay.
Middle to end May. Now, last night it was minus 176 Pacquiao, and now it's minus 168 Pacquiao. So you're talking about a 60% decrease. Like the odds continue to tighten and tighten and tighten. And odds don't do that this far out. There's been a major correction. So what that tells me is there's sharp money coming in on Pacquiao. Sharp money is smart money. This isn't small money. Like small money comes in on fight week when people get out to Vegas and throw some money down on the underdog. That's not happening yet. It's happening right now. So you have some smart money coming in on Pacquiao. Maybe they're hearing things from training camp. I'm not sure. But what do you make of the odds tightening? And do you think this will be a toss-up fight come fight night?
I still feel the same way about the fight, right? Where I still feel like Pacquiao should be a 3-1 underdog, if I'm honest, right?
Uh-huh.
I do feel that. Like, so I'm giving him a shot to win, you know what I mean? But like right. Making no mistake about it, like he has a shot to win. I just don't know if it by the sounds of it, it's going to be almost 50-50 by fight night. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure if I'm feeling that, but make no mistake about it. That the fact that Manny Pacquiao, I mean, they're looking at the training, he's still looking good, and yes, Errol Spence has beaten a lot of guys in his division and all that, but one has to wonder, like, are we really in an era that's that good, or is this a weaker era? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even though Manny's a little older, right? He came from a tougher era, so will that make up for it? And I think that's what people are kind of struggling, wrestling with, trying to figure out. Plus, there's so many unknowns, bro. Like Spence is southpaw. You know what I mean? We don't even know what that means. So I don't know if that means Pacquiao's going to have a harder time with him or an easier time with him, right? Pacquiao had a lot of options. There's a reason he picked Spence. Mm-hmm. That's in my mind. Like what does he? It's just something he sees. Like maybe it's the same thing. Remember Ryan? I mean, not Ryan. Remember Garcia? Mikey Garcia said he saw something.
Right.
Maybe Pacquiao sees the same thing, but Mikey just couldn't capitalize on what he saw. But maybe Pacquiao will. Right? There's a lot of things that I at least I'm thinking about. You go into the car
crash. Plus the car crash, D-Style.
That's true. Plus the car crash. Plus the fact that he couldn't stop Danny Garcia. You know what I mean? He didn't stop Mikey before the car crash. He didn't stop Porter either. And Porter gave him a hell of a fight. So, there's something to kind of look at there. You know what I mean? That's something you need to keep in mind. Manny Pacquiao's in this fight. And I guess I'm going to have to put my bet now, right? Because it's going to just close in. Because I want to bet on Pacquiao, but I'm not going to bet on him if it's 50-50.
No.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So here's my advice, people. Put in your bets now. Now is the time. Don't bet somebody on Spence. He's a favorite. Bet the casino. Get the odds now. Now, because as we speak, they're probably going down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm shocked at how they've narrowed this far out, which tells me that maybe Vegas overvalued Spence early as this fight was announced, or undervalued Pacquiao, or maybe a mixture of both, or maybe this sharp money is hearing things from training camps, because these people who bet full time and put a lot of money on the table, they know people in the football world, basketball, baseball. They know people in the locker room. They know people in these training camps. So they're hearing things. So possibly they're hearing that Manny looks sharp. Maybe they're hearing that Spence looks flat, or maybe it's just the era. Maybe this is a weaker era of the welterweight division, and the era that Pacquiao came from in the lighter weight classes in the welterweight division is stronger. I don't know. Or maybe we're just overthinking this, and Spence is who we thought he was, and he's a great fighter, and he's going to walk through this fight onto better things. Maybe.
Well, here's the thing. Both things could be possible, Alex. Right? Errol Spence can be who we think he is, who was an excellent fighter. The truth, as his nickname says, right? You know what I mean? The true Spence. But here, there's a difference. There's really good fighters in their era, and then there's all-time greats.
Right.
Manny Pacquiao's an all-time great. You know what I mean? That's the thing, right? And other things we're not considering is the moment. Pacquiao's been here before. And to be honest with you, Pacquiao being in a no-lose situation might make him more dangerous, if you think about it, because Spence is the one, it's going to be man, I can't lose this fight to this 42-year-old dude, and he's smarter than me. I got to win. Pacquiao would be like, hey, I'm just going to go out and do my thing, So I could see the odds. I expected the odds to kind of narrow a little bit, but I'm very surprised this far out, especially with all the attention being on Wilder Fury right now. It's not like people are the height of the talk of this fight. We haven't even gotten to it yet. Right. You know what I mean? We're not even the oven just turned on. It's not even getting there yet. It's not cooking anywhere near cooking yet. So the fact that it's already narrowed down that much is astonishing. There's got to be something somebody knows. I want to know what it is. You know, I'm hearing good things, man. I'm hearing some people out here saying, hey, Pacquiao, he's got a shot. Like Algieri, he's like, I'm favoring Spence, but you know what? I ain't counting Pacquiao out, Plus, Algieri himself said he thinks Pacquiao hits harder, brother. He's fought both.
Right. And I saw Keith Thurman say that Manny Pacquiao's punches feel like bricks. So he obviously puts a lot of stock in Pacquiao's power as well. And Pacquiao's fight with Thurman just 2 years ago, even though that was the last fight he's been inactive, he's fresh off of a big win against Keith Thurman, who was a top, 3 or 4 guy in the division at the time. So great win for Pacquiao at that time that he's coming off of. So I just keep going back to when I visualized this fight, and I thought the odds how they are right now would be the odds on fight night, to be quite honest. I thought that Spence would be about a 2-1 favorite, just like you did. You thought 3-1. I thought somewhere between 2 and 2.5 to 1. Although I think now it's going to be close to a toss. I think Spence will be a slight favorite on fight night, slight favorite on fight night, as the odds get even tighter. But one thing I keep going back to is Pacquiao is in an era where older athletes are performing better, right? Like you see what Tom Brady's doing. You saw Drew Brees perform well later in his career. LeBron James is not slowing down. And you see fighters perform even later. Bernard Hopkins, Nonito Donaire at 38 and a half. Nobody thought Nonito Donaire would be doing what he's doing at 38 and a half years old. So you keep going back to, you have strength and conditioning that has changed to where particularly the recovery is better for fighters now. Just things that they have now, the recovery is better. Also, you have maybe it's a weaker era combined with that. So I think that gives Pacquiao a legit shot in this fight. But what do you think both fighters need to be working on in their training camps right now, as far as stylistically?
One thing I'm thinking about, Calix, it's a unification fight, so I don't know if this is going to be enforced or not, but the IBF has a 10-pound rehydration rule. You know what I mean? If I was Pacquiao, I would try to enforce that. It should already be in the contract, but you would think he would. You know what I mean? But I don't know if it would because it's a unification. Or is it? I don't even know. Pacquiao's still the champion. Okay.
Well, apparently 3 belts are going to be on the line in this fight when it's all said and done.
Right, and the ring. They're getting the ring too. Like they broke the rules. Poor Crawford, brother. You can't catch a break. But hey, it is what it is. I think Crawford should have taken a big pay cut to get Manny in the ring. Okay, that's what I think he should have done. All right. Yes. But with that said, Spence, I think, needs to balance power and speed. Like he's going to need his power because that's his advantage. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's a bigger man than Pacquiao. So he has to use that, but at the same time, he needs to catch up to Pacquiao. He needs to keep up with him. Pacquiao, I guarantee you, has the fastest feet, even at age 42, than anyone Spence has ever fought. Like, period, right? So that's number one. Second, all right, like he's got to be able to still keep a lot of that power. So he's going to have to find that optimum kind of balance of speed and power. I think that's what Spence needs to focus on. And the one key thing is going to be the jab in his fight. Utilize the jab. That's what Marquez used. Now, it's going to be interesting from southpaw to southpaw how that's going to work, right? But the jab's going to be key in his fight. That's going to help you control Pacquiao. That's going to help keep the volume of Pacquiao down, right? Because I think he needs to slow down the pace of the fight, right? And also Spence's body. Trap Pacquiao against the corner, the ropes, go to the body. Don't headhunt. Go to the body when you got him against the ropes. Wear Pacquiao down that way. That's what I believe he needs to do, right? Mm-hmm. And don't be ashamed of backing up, circling the ring if you have to. Don't get caught up with the whole, I'm the bigger guy, I'm not going to let myself get backed up. That's a dumb thing to do against Pacquiao. And I think Thurman got caught up with that a little bit in their fight, and it paid against them. As far as what Pacquiao needs to do, I don't want to sound cliche, but Pacquiao needs to be Pacquiao, okay? Mm-hmm. Meaning come in, show angles, okay? You use your rangefinder, feints is going to be like, let me tell you, Calix, I don't know how Spence is going to react to the feints. If Spence reacts hard to the feints, he's in trouble, okay? But if he could control the feints, utilize his jab, we'll see. But I think feints is going to be key. Bobbing, weaving, I haven't really seen Manny, like, he used to really do like that Mike Tyson, when he kind of like move side to side. And I think he's going to have to do that a little bit, right? And he's going to have to be in constant motion and movement, right? And that's going to be the key. Now it's going to be interesting, brother, because Spence's hook is going to be key here, because from southpaw to southpaw, the hook is going to be available for him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Pacquiao, the Manila Ice, as they call it, has a hook himself. Underrated, okay? People say you don't have a hook. Well, ask Keith Thurman, okay? He hurt Thurman with a hook. He chopped Haddon with a hook. You know what I mean? He caught several dudes with a hook. So I think whoever has more success with a hook, in my opinion, is going to win this fight.
Yes. Two things. Number one, I saw Danny Garcia give an interview. It might have been with Ness, but he said what Master Kush says in the comment section is he's a big fighter. He's a physical fighter. He's a big 147-pounder, but he's not a powerful fighter as far as punching power, which I found interesting. Number two, Spence is a more active fighter in the ring than people think, to give him credit for. He averages like 72 punches per round, according to CompuBox. So this is a guy who throws a lot of punches, which goes to what you just said, is he really needs to slow the fight down to a certain extent. So maybe he's going to be trading a lot with Pacquiao in this fight, and that could favor Pacquiao as well. But if I'm Spence in his camp, and I'm sure he has some great minds in his camp, better minds than me, but I'm not taking a step backwards. You saw that's where Thurman got in trouble. Thurman went backwards. He got caught. He got knocked down. He used too much lateral movement. You saw it with guys like Cotto versus Margarito. Like, you don't go backwards. You don't use lateral movement when you don't have to, all that aerobic energy. You go forward, all right? Especially being a bigger fighter. I try to continue to go forward, clinch when you have to if he's throwing a lot of punches, and use your physicality, but try to walk him down. Easier said than done, right? Because
Spence ain't no clincher, brother.
What's that?
This is going to be a great fight because Spence doesn't really clinch.
Right. Which that's what I love too. That's what I love too. So Pacquiao is going to have angles, right? As Spence tries to, if what happens, what I think happens, like if that's what they're working on in training camp, is walking Pacquiao down, trying to use that physicality against Pacquiao, trying not to go backwards to where Pacquiao can catch you going backwards like he did Thurman, and plotting forward. If he does that, Pacquiao is going to have, and he does it without clinching, Pacquiao is going to have some angles. But Spence is going to have a lot of success as well because he's just the bigger puncher with the great jab, right? And he's a physical fighter. But Pacquiao is going to have angles, and that's what makes this interesting. Is this isn't like a guy who's going to be all over hugging Pacquiao and try to yuck up the fight. This is a guy who's going to be in there trying to look good, make a statement. This is a big fight for him. This is the biggest fight of his career up to this point, and it could skyrocket him into another stratosphere in the boxing world. Whether you beat Pacquiao at 42, 32, doesn't matter. He's Pacquiao. And a lot of people are going to give him full credit for this victory, especially coming off the Thurman win. So this is a big, big fight for Spence. It's also a big, big fight for Pacquiao, being that if he wins this fight, you said it, man. If he wins this fight, he could be number one pound for pound right now and add to his legacy. So
bro,
fight.
Let me tell you something, man. First of all, great points. I couldn't agree more. What's going to be interesting though is people like to say, "Oh man, he doesn't have a hook," right? Well, as you guys know, orthodox fighters don't have much success with their hook against southpaw fighters. Okay, right. The reason is because it's kind of hard to hit the hook from that angle. You know what I mean? Rather than coming right here to your face. Now Manny's hook's going to be available to hit him right in the face. You know what I mean? Where if he squares up, he's going to be open to not just the straight, but the hook. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we're going to see like if Manny can have success with a hook in this fight, You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm looking forward to. If Spence squares up like he did at times against Porter, it's going to work against him. You know what I mean? Now, Spence fans, are very confident going to this fight, rightfully so. I mean, Spence, number one, number two welterweight in the world, right? It's the debate's always him or Crawford. But Manny, like people kind of forgot about Manny because he's been out for so long. Like he's been out for 2 years, and then, of course that's a question. But let me tell you something, man. Even though he won the fight, Rocky Marciano was going to go in the ring against an old, washed-up Joe Louis, and again, in that age, in that time, fighters aged faster, right? So, the media was saying, you're going to get this, Rocky. Like, and he would always say, yeah, it's still Joe Louis. Oh, but he's old. It's still Joe Louis. Like, at the end of the day, like, he has a lot of experience. He might find a way to win, and an old dude with nothing to lose, all right, trying to find a way to win is a dangerous dude, okay? He just is, at the end of the day. But let me tell you something, man. Manny Pacquiao, it's against a southpaw. I don't like, because Calix, he usually does really good against left-handed guys, okay? Like, I don't know if people remember, like, I picked Manny Pacquiao to beat Miguel Cotto, right? And the reason I did was because I said to myself, Miguel Cotto is a hooker, all right? And he's dominant with that hand. He doesn't have he didn't have
left-hander who fights conventional.
Exactly. De La Hoya, and the De La Hoya performance is what convinced me, okay, like, you know what I mean? But it's always conventional guys, right, that are left-hand dominant. Spence is left-hand dominant, but he is fighting as a southpaw. That's interesting. Now, the last southpaw he fought, from my knowledge, is David Diaz. He destroyed David Diaz, okay? He annihilated that dude. And the hook was on point. Go watch that fight. The straight was on point, too. Everything was on point. And that was just unfair. Like, what the poor David Diaz. You know what I mean? He was never the same again after that. But that was the same David Diaz that had just beat Eric Morales in a war, okay? That Eric Morales almost beat Danny Garcia, guys, okay? And a higher weight class later. So it's not like we can't think anything of that. Like, that was Morales now fighting at lightweight, where I believe he felt more comfortable than at 130 at the time. So just bear that in mind. And Manny Pacquiao looked phenomenal in that fight. Okay, that performance got him the La Hoya fight. Okay, then he fought another left-hand dominant guy, destroyed him, right? That led to eventually the Cotto fight. Left-hand dominant guy. I mean, no offense, Calix, but he destroyed Cotto, okay? Good fight. The first 3 rounds were good, but eventually it became a beatdown, right? Oh, yeah. Because he just had it down. Like, Cotto just couldn't do anything with him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if the rumors that he's sparring Cotto are true. He should be sparring southpaws, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Bro, get Lubin in the camp, Pacquiao. Call Lubin, brother. You know what I mean? Like, get that dude in your camp. Like, I'm just saying. He needs to spar southpaws. Okay? Cotto's not a southpaw. He's left-handed, but he's not southpaw. All right? Important to know. But what do you think, Calix? Do you think maybe it's something there? Maybe Pacquiao feels confident against a left-hand dominant guy?
Yeah, I think there's something definitely that they've seen on tape. Now, the GOAT is in the chat, and he's been saying that they made a mistake by taking this fight. And that's a fair comment. It really is. There are a lot of people out there saying that Manny Pacquiao is making this mistake and taking this fight. And that's why I respect Pacquiao for taking a lot of fights like this. He's taken a lot of fights in his career that people say, no, man, that's a mistake. He shouldn't have took that fight. And he takes them anyway. So possibly, yeah, they do see something in Spence that they feel like they can expose. But it is fair to say that he's making a mistake by taking this fight. That's a fair assessment. And yeah, poor David Diaz said after that fight that he felt like Freddie was in the ring with him, stabbing him up.
I think he said, I thought the ref was hitting me at times.
Right. So poor David Diaz. But as far as this comment right here, that's why I've kept it up. I actually like it because I think Cotto is a guy. I've seen him switch to southpaw and have some success in his career. I think he's a guy who can get in there for 8 to 10 rounds in sparring and emulate a lot of things that Errol Spence can do. I think that he can fight southpaw, left-hand dominant fighter, and emulate that in a bigger fighter. He's a guy who's fought all the way up to 160, natural welterweight. So I think he's got a lot of things that he can emulate as far as Errol Spence. So I think it's actually a smart move to have him in there. But yeah, Erickson Lubin's a guy you can bring in there. There are a lot of guys, but I think it's a smart move to bring Cotto in there and emulate Errol Spence. So I just think that I love everything about this fight, man. I love everything about this fight. And I love that the odds are starting to tighten because it more reflects what this fight is to me. I never saw this as a complete mismatch as I think G Funky says that he thinks it is, and he doesn't think it's a good move for Pacquiao.
He thought about it. He thought about it a little bit. You know what I mean?
So
he thought about it.
And I think as the fight tightens, you always have the underdog start to get more love from people as far as, I think that he can pull this off. I think he can actually pull this off. And I think you're going to have a lot of that, which is why I think this is going to be close to a toss-up fight as far as the odds once this fight gets close.
Just for the bettors out there, right? And you as a better, Calix. Does it matter to you if the 10-pound rehydration clause with the IBF is in effect?
Yes. Because
that's a big one, and that might be something that Vegas got knowledge of. You never know, you know what I mean? So,
because Errol Spence would have to show up at 157 on fight night, right?
Well, I don't know what, like in the ring, but it would be like they'll reweigh them again the next day. You know what I mean? Like earlier, like I don't know how early, but
Let's get to some of these comments real quick. Spence is overlooking Pac. You can see it in the way he is hanging around, laughing and partying. I don't know. I can't go deep into that, so I don't have knowledge of his training camp. But
and if I could just say this, rumors were coming out that supposedly Pacquiao didn't want to do VADA and all this other shit. Wasn't even true. Like, you know what I mean? Like the guy who reported that, I forgot the name. He literally came out and retracted that, right? So it's not true that Pacquiao, like, why would he agree to the fight with Spence? And then like, do you guys really believe that all of us, like, they wouldn't agree to the testing before the fight's announced? You know what I mean? Everything's been agreed to. Like, if the 10-pound effect is there, they've already agreed to it. Okay.
And do you think that Spence is having trouble with weight, and that could have as much to do with his couple past performances where he wasn't as sharp as he's looked in the past, more so than the car crash? You think that could be part of it too? Maybe he's having issues with 147 and he's got to get to 154 now.
Is it that, or is it he's just fighting better fighters, right? I mean, you're gonna look like a beast against Ocampo. Like, you know what I mean? Like Ocampo, man, Spence looked like a beast, bro. You know what I mean? The truth, the beast, Spence. But then when you fight a Porter, what's a little different now? You know what I mean? Then when you fight, Danny Garcia, that's a little different now. Danny Garcia, he didn't look as good as he did against Mikey Garcia. Why? Well, maybe it's a size thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, man. I think people aren't giving Danny enough credit for how Spence looked, in my opinion. Like it's cause and effect. You know what I mean? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction in this life. A lot of how fighters look depends on who's in front of them. You know what I mean? So we got to bear that in mind. You know what I mean? And a lot of those common opponents were beat by Thurman, who Manny Pacquiao beat. Okay? Mm-hmm. So just keep that in mind.
That's right. And once again, just to recap it, I love this fight. And the odds haven't come out. None of the prop bets have come out yet. There's no over-under yet. You get that more on fight week. So there's no odds on decision, any of that, because I do think this is going to decision. I don't think either fighter is going to win by knockout. I think this is going 12 rounds. You got two guys with great chins. You have two guys with great stamina. They can both take a punch. They can both give a punch. And
that's the over.
Even with the high output, yeah, I'm going over on this fight. Whatever it is, let's say it's 11 and a half. I'm going over. I think it's going 12 rounds. I just do. So great fight. Great fight. Can't wait. I wish August 21st was here right now.
Can I just ask you one question?
Uh-huh.
What would you do if Manny Pacquiao comes out and ices Spence? Like drops him in the first round. Like, I'm not saying necessarily saying knock him out, but like the same way he did to Thurman. Like, what does Calix do in that moment?
I go crazy.
Wake up the whole neighborhood or what?
Yeah, and I'm doing a live. I will be doing a live for that fight. There's no doubt about it. Maybe not though, because I might be too nervous. But yeah, I'm running around. I'm getting drunk. All that good stuff. I just don't see that happening though. I don't think it's going to be a one punch thing. But a type of performance that if he goes in this fight and wins 9 out of 12 rounds, 10 out of 12 rounds, gets a knockdown, all that good stuff, that's still like that would be incredible performance. And that would put him down as top 20, top 30 all time and pound for pound king once again in active boxing. I mean, I think that would put him even over Canelo winning that fight as the current number one pound for pound guy. That's a tough feat though, man. It's a tough feat. I can't say it enough. I got a lot of respect for Errol Spence Jr. as a fighter. To me, he's top 4 or 5 pound for pound right now. If you have him higher, so be it.
It's going to be interesting because Pacquiao's Achilles heel has always been the straight right hand. Mm-hmm. That's what Mayweather used in their fight. That's what Marquez used in all 4 of their fights. That's not a weapon he's going to have to worry about in this fight. It just isn't, right? The straight of Spence going to come from a different angle, right? And if you can handle that without a problem, Spence might be in trouble, but we'll see. You know what I mean? A lot of time to talk about the fight, but we'll see.
I wasn't running for just for the record, I was never running around naked after the second Margarito fight. Didn't happen. I did have a bit of fun though, but I wasn't running around the
come on, he was in his underwear, guys. Give the guy a break. He was in his underwear and that hat. You know what I mean? Just running around.
So yeah, I mean, either way, this is gonna be a fun night.
You know, he was like Marquez. Like, he just had that hat like right here. He was running around. You know,
like that. One of the greatest post-fight interviews of all time, by the way. One of the greatest post-fight.
Like they don't tell him like, "Hey, it's Phil's gonna come in, put on some shorts right away." Like he was just like, "Just come in, and give me the hat." He had a sombrero, bro. I remember watching. I'm like, "What the fuck is this?"
2 of the greatest moments in my boxing viewing history was him drinking urine before one of the fights, and then him giving a post-fight interview with the sombrero.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Was that after the 4th Pacquiao fight?
You want to know?
Or the 3rd one?
That was the 3rd one for sure. Third one, which he won. He won that fight.
Yeah,
but
I thought so too.
But you know, the second one could have gone either way, in my opinion. The first one Pacquiao won. I don't think Marquez made up for the difference, the knockdowns, and he should have won, by the way. One of the judges messed up. You know what I mean? Like, and he admitted to it. But here's the thing, bro. Here's the thing with Marquez and the cup. Okay, like picture this cup right here, right? No, I don't put my urine here. This is water. Okay. But here's the thing, though. Like, this dude, first of all, it was a glass. It wasn't even a cup, bro. This dude got a glass. like who gets a glass? Not plastic, not foam, glass. Because he's a classy dude. Like, you know what I mean? But here's the thing. He walks out. Here's what impressed me. No splash at all. There was it was clean, bro. It was just the ramming down. It was clean, like no splash. What if this dude, like, he just like he was like an expert at pouring that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
then he sits down, he crosses his legs, and he's just like, he did the. Like, what do you mean that? What the fuck is that? He licks his lips. I'm like, what the? I'm like, yo, and he's like, something about how, it gives me all the vitamins. I'm like, where did you get this advice? Who told you this? Thank God Mayweather won that fight. We would have had a bunch of athletes drinking the urine, brother. Well, Marcus did it, and he'd be fried. Well, I'm gonna drink urine, bro. Hey, if you would have beat Mayweather, tell me people wouldn't be drinking the urine right now.
Hey, boxing is a copycat sport, like every sport. So you would have had everybody drinking the urine. I've heard that urine can cure athlete's foot if you pee in the shower, but I've
Oh,
never heard anything about your performance being enhanced by urine,
have you heard
by
Vitaly's urine
drinking it.
story?
Huh?
Vitaly Klitschko said that I don't know how we got his baby's wee, he called it, right? And he would like put it like in a cloth, and he would like kind of rub it on his knuckles so it can help make his hands stronger, and that's why he didn't break his hands. You know what I
By
mean?
rubbing what?
Rubbing his baby's urine. Why baby urine? I don't know. I guess he got it from the diaper. I don't know what the fuck. Like, I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean you dipped? Like what? So when you change the diaper, you finish that, and then you dip your hand in the diaper or some shit. Like what? Like now, granted, somebody might say, hey, but hey, he never broke his hands, right? So it worked. Because that's how people think. You know what I mean? Like, I think his hands would have been fine if he didn't do that.
Maybe I need to start doing that. My mother-in-law gardening tip.
Arthritis, fight the arthritis.
No, my mother-in-law, a little gardening tip, puts used diapers with urine in them in her garden, and it helps the plants grow quicker. Apparently, so maybe
does it really?
Maybe
does she use the same logic? Like, look, the plants are growing, right?
I don't know how she knows they're growing faster, but
I don't know. Well, you know what? Look, my grandmother swears that her talking to the plants somehow helps them bloom, and you know what I mean. But maybe it's true because one time she went out of town. One of my aunts showed up, watered it the same, and the shits were dying. So maybe I don't know.
I'll never get over the drinking the urine, though. I'll never. And shout out to Juan Manuel Marquez and his fans. Look, I got a lot of respect for Juan Manuel Marquez, especially as a, shout out to our guy Afro Rican G in the building. Nothing like a warm glass of urine. Juan Manuel Marquez.
I just want to know why there was no splash. Like, how do you pee in a glass and there's no splash, brother?
How bad would it have been if it started to like go down his chin?
Did he like wipe it off so it could look nice? Is that what he did? He got some toilet paper and like, what the fuck is going on?
It would have been so bad if it started leaking down his chin, like like cereal milk.
Oh no, he's an expert at drinking that. Like what do you mean now? Was this a Coke commercial, brother? What's going on?
And it was like he's done it millions of times. He's just yeah, let's do it.
The crazy part is Lyoto Machida from the UFC was also doing the same thing at the time.
Hey, I'd like to know the scientific benefit, if there is a scientific benefit behind it, Maybe there is.
One of my uncles swore that it's totally legit. You know what I mean? He's like, eso lo máximo. He said, it's the maximum shit you could drink, he said. He's like, that's the best of the best. I'm like, no, it's not, bro. It's all the toxins, bro. Like,
was he a Marquez fan when he said that?
Oh yeah, he was a big Marquez fan. He still is a Marquez fan, obviously, but when he, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm like, come on, brother, that shit ain't no benefit. It's there's a reason it's leaving your body, bro. Your body is getting rid of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, brother. Like your organs, everything's like, we don't need this shit right here. Get the fuck out of here.
And then that's true. He's recycling it back into his body. Like, why? Why?
He was thinking about doing it. Then he lost the Floyd fight, and thank God.
And he lost it going away too, so that urine did not work for him. Thank God he fought Floyd that time, because anybody else he might have won, and everybody would be drinking urine right now. Oh man,
it would be on the ban list. You know what I mean? We got to put that shit on the ban list.
Hey, you know what? When I envisioned this show before we did it, I didn't think we'd be talking about drinking urine for 10 minutes. So, but hey, wherever the show takes us, wherever it takes us. So shout out to everybody in the chat. Please hit that like button as y'all come in. While we're talking betting odds too, and Pacquiao versus Spence, man, we're gonna have a ton of opportunities to talk about that. But betting odds: Zurdo Ramirez versus Sullivan Barrera is happening this weekend. Zurdo is a big favorite, -800. Sullivan Barrera +450. Friday night on the Zone. I love the Friday night fights. It brings me back to like ESPN Friday night fights, Showbox. I love the Friday night fights. We got some Saturday night fights in the UK as well. I'll have plenty of time to talk about that beforehand. But what do you think about Ramirez versus Barrera? not too in depth because we're going to be talking about this tomorrow night on your podcast. So, who do you think is going to win that fight? How do you see that playing out?
Now, for first, let me just tell everybody this. So zurdo is a zurdo, right? Means lefty. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not like a thing in English. Like, oh, lefty Spence. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but in Mexico, like most of the fighters are trained. It's really old school. Like here, even in the Midwest, they were really old school on like even in Puerto Rico as well. That's why even though he's Southern California, but De La Hoya, lefty, but they taught him how to fight orthodox, right? The same thing with Cotto, Puerto Rico, but they fought him to fight orthodox. So El Zurdo de Oro, a legend in Mexican boxing. For some reason, whenever a Mexican fights lefty, they like to point out the fact that he's a lefty. So shout out to Zurdo Ramirez, but Zurdo is a really good fighter. He's campaigning at 175. He's already fought at 175, but
second fight.
Yeah. So this is going to be a really key fight for him to see where he's at. But Sullivan Barrera was, people forget this, but he was Andre Ward's tune-up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and he's a lot older than he was then, a little more washed up. So I'm expecting Zurdo Ramirez to win this fight, and I believe he will stop Sullivan Barrera. I think he's going to stop him, but it's going to be a good fight while it lasts. Don't be surprised if Zurdo gets hit a little bit, but I see a stoppage in this fight, like mid-round stoppage. Should be a good fight. Looking forward to it.
I think so too. And I'll give my official prediction on the channel. Look at the prediction playlist on the channel for tomorrow. This is his second fight at 175, undefeated, 41-0. He's somewhere between 6 and 8 in the rankings. But here's the thing: Sullivan Barrera is 22-3, 14 KOs, but he's lost 2 out of his last 3 and hasn't fought in over 2 years. D-Style, he's just not active. So Zurdo should get this guy out of there. I think maybe even before the middle rounds, he should blast this guy out and win this fight. I like Zurdo in this fight, but there's no value in betting this fight. Minus 800 for Zurdo, and I don't see Sullivan Barrera pulling off the upset, so I'd say stay away from it as far as betting. But the real fight this weekend, set Friday night, is Jojo Diaz versus Javier Fortuna at 135. Love that fight. Jojo Diaz stepping up to 135. Fortuna is a nice fighter at 135. What do you think about that one? The betting odds are close to even on that. Very close to even. Jojo Diaz is a slight favorite in that fight.
Slight favorite. It sounds about right. You know what I mean? I think that sounds about right. A shout out to the Dominican, Javier Fortuna, man. He hasn't fought since like November. So, you know what I mean? But he's fought a total of 8 rounds in 2 years, brother. That's all he's fought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is going to be someone who's going to be rusty. Power puncher, right? Can't count him out, you know what I mean? That's for sure. But I think after the last performance of Jojo, which I think is causing people to have reservations, right, to question him a little bit.
It was weight. I think it was weight.
I think it was the weight. I do believe he's gonna be the boxer in this fight. I think he's gonna be the guy in the move in this fight. I think he's gonna be circling the ring in this fight. I don't know if Fortuna could keep up with Jojo with the feet. I just don't. If Jojo, this is an if Jojo could be disciplined for 12 rounds, he should win an 8-4 or 9-3 type decision. There'll be some moments for Fortuna, right? But Jojo's not that pitch a shutout type of guy, but he could get like an 8-4, 9-3 decision. But if Fortuna has a big moment, right, Jojo can throw all that away and make it a brawl, and we could have a fight of the year candidate. You know what I mean? And it's possible that Fortuna could stop him late. But I do believe the latter would happen. I do think Jojo, right, is going to be disciplined for this fight because I don't think people are expecting it. I think he knows he's in there with a puncher, so he has to respect the puncher, right? It's just the way it is. You know what I mean? Just like when you're in there with a boxer, you have to cut off the ring and all that, right? When you're in there with a puncher, you need to respect the power. You got to be on your P's and Q's, right? So I think that's what he's going to do in this fight, So I'm looking at a decision win, 8-4, 9-3, Jojo Diaz.
Let me throw out this stat. Fortuna hasn't lost since 2018 against Robert Easter Jr., but you just said it. He hasn't been that active since then. Just hasn't been that active. Hasn't fought too many rounds in the past 2 years. So hell of a fighter. Both southpaws. Both somewhat in their prime. Maybe Fortuna, you could argue, is a little past it. Jojo Diaz is there. He just has to keep his head right, stay active, stay out of trouble, and find his weight at 135. Hopefully this is his weight and he can carry what he had at 130 up to 135. I think he will be able to, and I think he'll fit in nicely in that division. The question everybody has is the Rakhimov fight, last fight. I thought he lost the fight. He got a draw. I thought he got a gift draw. It was a close fight. I thought that Rakhimov beat him. But I thought it was the weight, man. I thought he just struggled. Didn't he miss the weight too? I just thought he struggled with weight, looked dry, didn't look fresh at all. I think 135 is going to treat him well. The big question is, will he be able to carry those skills up to 135 in the power? I think he will. I think he'll be a lot fresher at the weight. And I think he wins this fight and looks good doing it. I think he's going to perform well. I think he's called out Chris Colbert. So I think he's going to he's already called out Chris Colbert. I think that's a good fight too. So I think he's going to fit in well at 135 and mix it up with guys. I think he's one of those guys.
Well, Colbert's at 130, but
yeah. Colbert was at 130, but I think he was talking about fighting him at either catch weight or moving up to 135. Colbert was talking about moving up to 135. So, but I just think he mixes in well with guys at 135. It's a fun division, and he's going to bring some energy to that division that may not be there right now with guys not at the top of that weight class not fighting each other. So I think he's going to be very hydrated, look not as dry in this fight, and look good. I think he's going to show out, and I think he's going to win 9-3, something like that, maybe even 10-2. I think he's going to show out against Fortuna, who is a good fighter. But I think that Jojo Diaz matches up well with him, and I like him. Bet on Diaz in this fight. He's a slight favorite, but you get a good bit back for your money. So let's do it, man. Jojo Diaz with the win. But this question right here, the question is, can Zurdo take over light heavyweight? Do you think so? Do you think his ceiling's that high? Because I don't. I think his ceiling is somewhere. Maybe he can crack into the top 5. But as far as talking about him fighting Bivol, Bitterbeef.
Let's see. Let me see the crystal ball.
Canelo moving up to 175 because all Mexican showdown at 175. Zurdo Ramirez,
you could do it
versus Canelo. You got a lot you can do with him at 175, but I think his ceiling is somewhere like number 4, somewhere around there right now.
Yeah, he's a top 10 guy right now. You know what I mean? But look, these guys, man, 175, man, Bivol's up there, and he didn't look so good in the last fight. Bivol did, you know what I mean? But not everyone. Look, sometimes guys have a bad night. You know what I mean? But he had a bad night, and he clearly won the fight. So it's not that bad. You know what I mean? So he got some rust off, and then Beterbiev is a beast, brother. This dude's a beast. You know what I mean? So I don't know if Zurdo's ready for that, bro. I just don't. You know what I mean? I just don't. Now, of course, he's a southpaw. It's in his nickname, so he always has a shot, but we will see. You know what I mean? I think his ceiling is top 3, top 4. Which is still good. I mean, you know, but I don't think he's going to be the man of the division. And dude, he's not even going to be the best Mexican in that division if Canelo moves up or if Benavidez moves up. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, I didn't know I looked like a used car salesman out here.
Man, people throwing shots, bro.
Throwing shots.
That's how you know the cap's working. You know what I mean?
But
I got my props. You know, I got the Sonteo Media clipboard. I got the 4 Kings. You know, I got the notes from yesterday. Charlotte's got a hat. You know what I mean?
But look, man, I want to see where Zurdo's at 175. So this is going to be a nice little test. Although Sullivan Barrera is well past his prime, hasn't fought in 2 years. That's a nice fight there. We'll get a feel of what Zurdo is at 175. And also, I love the Diaz versus Fortuna fight. Love that fight. Toss-up fight. And I like Jojo Diaz to show out. I hope he does, man. I like watching the guy. He's going to bring some energy to that division and, fun fighter. So shout out to Sonteo Media in the building too. And y'all hit the like button as y'all come in, but I want to have some fun right here with the chat. Everybody in the chat. We're going to throw out some boxing trivia right here. We're going to do this at the end of every show, towards the end of every show. and have a boxing trivia champion for the week. So whoever answers the questions right, I have 6 questions, boxing trivia. Whoever in the chat, in D-Style, I want you to pay close attention to whoever answers these questions correctly first. We're going to give everybody about 30 to 45 seconds. And it might be a race to Google, right? It might be a race to Google. So you might have to have 2 screens up. Who knows? But if you can answer without Google, even better. I'm going to start it off with an easy one. Whoever answers the question, most questions correctly first, is the boxing trivia champion for the week. And you'll have that crown until next week. And I'll give a shout out to you in the community page as well as the trivia champion for the week. Power Punchers, episode 4 champion. So I got the first question right here. And pay attention to who answers it first correctly in the chat. Who is the only heavyweight champion to retire with an undefeated record? Should be an easy one.
I don't know the answer.
Who's in the chat? Come on, you got to get this one. And look, this is a 7-day crown, as Santiago.
There we go. The GOAT. No, not the GOAT. I'm sorry. Nando Llamas.
Nando Llamas got it first. So mark one down for him, Nando Llamas. If you can mark one down for him real quick, Nando Llamas. He's got one. Everybody got it late. My guy Nando Llamas got it first. Rocky Marciano, number 1. And look, this is a 7-day title you got. We're not naming, and by the way, we're not naming any interim titles. There's not going to be a regular champion.
What about I'm the franchise champ. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing that out there, everybody.
This is one champion. All right, we got one champion. There's not going to be an interim titleist. There's not going to be.
I'll tell you guys right now, if you need Google, you ain't going to win. If you need
LT says his Google's slow right now. A-Rod says his internet sucks. All right, second question. Who is the only boxer to officially knock down Floyd Mayweather Jr.? Sort of a trick question.
I know who it is. I don't remember the name, though. I'll give you guys a clue. Mayweather took a voluntary knee.
Yeah. He didn't even take a knee. Put his hand down on the canvas. All right, so put his hand down on the canvas. There it is. There it is. You got it? The GOAT. It's the GOAT, right?
Now, does it count? Did they count it?
They counted it. He counted it. 1, 2, 3. He gave him a standing 8.
Oh, really?
It happened in 2001. He put his hand on the canvas after hitting Hernandez with the left hand. It was ruled an official knockdown. And if you go back and watch the fight, you can see it.
Yeah, it was Hernandez, though, right? Carlos Hernandez. Okay,
Carlos Hernandez.
I thought you said Judah. Right. I thought you said
Judah should have been. Should have been an official knockdown.
But it wouldn't have been the first anyway.
Yeah, so Floyd Mayweather put his hand on the canvas against Zab Judah too, but it didn't count.
I'm not gonna lie, like Floyd was being kind of whiny in that fight. Yeah. He was like, oh, like I don't. He wanted them to go to a decision or something. Like I don't know what he wanted, but
and look, our guy Shane Mosley almost got him on the canvas twice in that second round before he was schooled went on to get schooled for 10 rounds after that. But he hit him with some hellacious shots in that fight. And still to this day, dude, I don't know how Floyd withstood those shots and stayed off the canvas. And not only that, Ricky Hatton caught him with a flash shot in the first round of that fight, and how Floyd stayed up after he caught him with a coming forward, and Floyd was backpedaling. I don't know how Floyd stayed up if you go back and watch that first round. Floyd's just a freak athlete, man. Freak athlete. But yeah, he took a voluntary, put his hand on the canvas to take an 8 count. I think he broke his hand in that fight, his left hand. So
Nando has one. The GOAT has one, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. So third question. What fighter was born 100 years ago today, a century ago today, and was known as the Cincinnati Cobra?
Come on, guys.
You got the Jeopardy music or what? Let's see who's got it in the chat. Let's see who's got, and he was born a century ago today, was known by a lot of people as maybe the greatest light heavyweight of all time. And I think he was the heavyweight champion for 2 or 3 years as well. So in the late 40s, early 50s.
You guys gonna piss off my boy Ohio Runs Boxing.
And we're giving y'all another, 30 seconds to answer this question. Look, man, Google should have hooked y'all up by now.
That's
No,
an
not
easy
Archie
one,
Moore.
Come on, brothers.
Y'all should have it by now.
The Z's in the name, brother. The Z. The letter Z's in the name.
The chat is letting us down right now. All right, I'm going to count it down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
Wow.
5, 4,
Unbelievable.
3, 2. Oh, he got it. I saw it. Beat the count. Pyromax.
Pyromax. Got it, brother. Thank you.
There it is. The chat was about to let us down. Our guy, Ezra Charles, arguably the greatest light heavyweight of all time, was heavyweight champion from, I believe, 1949 to 51.
Mitchell Brown came in labor, but he got it right, though. That's what counts.
That's right. That's how you beat the count.
I mean,
right
it doesn't count, but it counts. You know what I mean? Like, in a way, like, I'm just saying.
So we got ourselves a three-way tie right now. We got ourselves a three-way tie.
Let's do it. Sure.
We got 3 questions left. All right. I don't want any ties, by the way. Like, I don't want any ties. We might have to make up a question or something.
I'll come up with a question. Don't worry about it.
I don't want any ties. I don't want any special belts. None of that. We don't want any.
3 more questions. Come on. Like, we got 3 dudes with 1 point. You guys got to, you know what I mean? You guys got to pick it up now.
Step it up. Which fighter did Manny Pacquiao infamously double punch in their 2010 WBO welterweight title
I know
defense? Come on, y'all got to know this one. The double punch. Pacquiao got so bored, he just double punched him. Won all 12 rounds in the fight. A guy who was ducked at 147 for a while.
Come on, guys.
He was ducked at 147 for a while.
There we go. We got
you got it first.
Pyromax.
Pyromax. No, the GOAT got it.
The GOAT got it. The GOAT. I had 2-0, ladies and gentlemen. Pyromax with 1. Nando with 1. 2 questions to go.
The GOAT sitting in the driver's seat. The GOAT is sitting in the driver's seat.
The GOAT clinch a victory if he gets the next one right.
He can clinch the victory right now. The GOAT. Look, get y'all gotta be quick, man. Y'all gotta be quick.
But you gotta be quick with this. By the time you go Google it, like the GOAT's gonna beat you guys. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
All right. Here's the 5th question. Which fighter, and this isn't a difficult one. People should get this. This is modern boxing history right now. Which fighter did Prince Nassim Hamed fight in his first fight in America? Who was it?
Was that at the Garden?
That was at the Garden.
Come on, guys. You got it?
Who got it? Is that Nando again? Yeah, he got it. Kevin Kelly. Nando Llamas, Kevin Kelly. That was 1997, one of my favorite fights.
Now the reason I asked the Garden, because I know he fought Kevin Kelly at the Garden, but was that the first one?
Yes, that was the first. That was billed as Prince Nassim's coming to America fight, where he came and fought Kevin Kelly on American turf, and beat Kevin Kelly in a classic. This was a modern classic.
I just realized, bro. Right now, Nando's got 2, the GOAT's got 2, Pyromax got 1. We might go overtime. We might go extra innings like that baseball game before when we wanted to watch the boxing, for the Monster Anyway. We might have to go extra innings, but if those 2 guys, we can't end it in a tie now. Nope. Pyromax has 1. We might have a triple tie. Who knows? But hey, let's see who wins this one, brother.
All right, this is the last one. This one's more difficult. This is not modern boxing history. This goes back a little bit. In 1978, Ken Norton was awarded the WBC title when which fighter refused to fight him? Which heavyweight fighter refused to fight him? Ken Norton was awarded the WBC title, guys. Let's see if they can get it. Give them about 30 more seconds. Rest in peace, Alex Trebek. It wasn't Andy Ruiz.
It wasn't Riddick Bowe either, ladies and gentlemen, okay?
It was not Joe Frazier either. It was not Joe Frazier.
He was a recognized world champion, right?
Wait. We got it. Oh, we might have a winner, D-Style. Spinks. He got it. It was
Oh, so
Leon Spinks.
Nando Llamas.
Nando pulls off the upset against the GOAT. Oh,
Oh,
man.
the goat. I mean, the goat swung. He's
He
like, wow,
swung. He hit us with his Joe
Frazier.
Frazier.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it was a good guess, but
Oh. So let me read the answer. The WBC declared the title vacant, then rewarded it to Ken Norton, who was outpointed by Larry Holmes 3 months later. So yeah, Leon Spinks was the guy who ducked Ken Norton. So our guy LT, no, not LT. LT gave us John
Llamas,
Lee.
Llamas, Llamas.
Nando Llamas is the champion. He's the champion. It's like I feel like Mekhi Phifer in 8 Mile. We got a new champion. Nando Llamas. Nando Llamas. We got a champion. So shout out to Nando Llamas, man. I'm gonna give you a shout out on the community page. You are the 7-day champion. You have to come back next
like
week.
Llamas came in like back to back, bro. He got like that jab and then the cross pop, to win it at the end.
I thought the GOAT had it. I thought he had it. Man, he was strong. The GOAT was strong. The GOAT's got to come back next week and try to take
the GOAT saw the finish line, and Nando Llamas like just what it was. He started to celebrate a little bit, and Nando just like wow, like you know what I mean.
See, this is why we can't have nice things right here. The GOAT is demanding an interim belt.
we will have a 3/4 vote. We can. We'll make the GOAT's the mandatory. Okay, for next week, you're a mandatory, brother.
So shout out to our guy. He's Nando Llamas. He's gonna get the shout out. He's got the belt for 7 days, and he'll be back next week to defend his title. We're gonna make it. We might do 7 or 8. We might do 7 or 8 questions next week. Who knows? But that's a good start to us. You are the inaugural champion of this. So shout out to Nando Llamas.
There's only one first time. That's the first time ever.
That's right.
He could never win another one again, but he'll always be number one, like the first.
G-Funky's in there trying to raise hell, ask for a regular belt, and you'll be the man. They're already trying to splinter off belts in the chat. So shout out to everybody who played. But Nando Llamas came out the champion. Look, let's end this thing, man. What is your final?
Well, look, look at Kelly. So we have the super champion, right? And then the GOAT could be like the regular champion, and then we have an interim champion, Pyromax. So we got 3 champions.
We're not doing
all you guys got to do is send Calix a sanctioning fee. What's your cash app?
Oh, wait a second. I'll hit y'all with the cash app with the Venmo. Yeah, y'all can pay the sanctioning fee, $20 a week.
That's right.
$20 a week.
I don't know. You gotta send them for a sanction fee. You got to send them a belt. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Yeah.
LT's already saying that Nando Llamas is ducking the GOAT. We're already starting off with this. So we'll be back with the trivia next week. We're gonna do this every week. Fun thing to do. But give me your final KO of the week. Give me your final rant, man. What you got?
Perspective. That's what it is. Power punch. Pop. Perspective. You know what I mean? Hey, catch the show on iHeart, ladies and gentlemen, on audio version. It'll spread the word. We understand you can't always watch with your eyes. Don't drive and watch the show. Listen to it on IR. HCP Boxing Network. Go ahead and catch that there while you're hitting the bag like Calix. Yesterday he was hitting the heavy bag and all that good stuff. So shout and subscribe to my channel, D Style Boxing, here on YouTube, and catch me here every Wednesday with Calix Power Punchers Perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, honor thy father. All right, that is something that Tim Tszyu is doing. He is honoring his father. He's doing it not by just being the son, like you know what I mean, not just by inheriting it, but working on his craft, which we see in the ring. And look at him now, man. He's a top contender in the division. He's looking good in that division. And we might see down the line a Jermell Charlo versus Tim Tszyu matchup, which would be epic. Tim Tszyu doing his father proud. There's another dude out there, okay, called Chavez Jr., not so much. You know what I mean? So whatever you do, no pink undies, no Cheerios, no training in your living room, okay? Don't do it during carne asadas. All you need to do is stay focused, keep focused, top perspective. All right, make your father proud, and that's what you're doing, brother.
Perspective. You always want to make your father proud, so that's a great one. And Tim Tszyu, a lot great things that are going to happen for this guy, man. He's got it all. My two things is number one, great to see fights, nice fights on Friday night again. Brings me back to Friday night fight days, the showbox days. I love the fact that Jojo Diaz and Fortuna is fighting Zurdo Ramirez on Friday night. Love it, love it, love it. We're going to get some fights on Saturday night as well, but love the Friday night fights. Also, Deontay Wilder. I haven't spoken on this too much, but you got to get your head right, man. You got 2 weeks left. Look in the mirror. Stop with the excuses, all that stuff. Look, man, we get it at this point. We know where you're at. You think he cheated, et cetera, et cetera. You got to get your head right, man, because you're fighting the best heavyweight in the world. A guy who is very versatile coming up in 2.5 weeks. So you got to be on point. You have to have your head right. Everything has to be clicking for him to land that right hand. So I want to see less talking. I wanted to see that talking at the press conference. Instead, he did the opposite, put the headphones on, and he does his talking to his media, his state-run media, when he's not in front of people. So frustrating to see, especially for a guy and myself who cheered for Deontay Wilder throughout his career, being from that he's from right down the road in Alabama. Frustrating to see, but he's got to have his head right going into this fight. I want to see a great fight. I don't care who wins. I want to see a great fight. I want to see a great heavyweight championship, and I want to see undisputed after that with the winner of Anthony Joshua and Usyk. So that's where I'm at. Deontay Wilder, get your head right. So catch us on iHeartRadio this week in podcast form. And D-Styler was great. Once again, catch us roundtable tomorrow night. What time is that going down?
8 p.m. Eastern, D-Style Boxing Live, man. So looking forward to have the guys from El Vivo Boxing Podcast on. And then Shadow Ghost will be on. So, of course, the regulars and all that. And Calix is always welcome if he's available. The whole HCP crew, everybody. So make sure you guys tune in.
Looking forward to it. And once again, final shout out to Nando Llamas, the champion of boxing trivia. We'll see you guys again next Wednesday night, same time, same place. Peace. God bless.